Well, a few days ago, Martin Scorsese came into the studio to discuss the film. On the face of it, it seems so very different from your other films. You know, one thinks of, Goodfellas, Raging Bull, Cape Fear, and then suddenly there's this. But in a sense, there is a connection, isn't there? Because it's about power, which your films are also about. It's about male-dominated society, which your films are usually about. And it's also about spiritual struggle, which is something that is very close to you.
Exactly, the struggle really interested me most, because he's raised as a being who has to be compassionate, and raised as a person who is a real pacifist. You know, the tenets of the religion: compassion, kindness, tolerance, and nonviolence. And he handles the situation with nonviolence. And the situation is a complete wiping out of the country. And still he handles it with nonviolence. But what they don't wipe out is the heart and the soul of the country. You see, that's what's most important.
I would have thought it would be difficult to get a studio interested in that.
Well, it's such a simple story, because the other way to go would be so complicated. Yeah. It's such a complex subject, and even Tibetan Buddhism is so complex. Obviously, I mean, I don't want anyone to get the impression that coming to see the film they're going to get a political briefing, or they're going to have to take a quiz on Tibetan Buddhism afterwards.
Leave it to me. I'll assure them they're not getting any of that, Marty. I promise.
So we hope not. But yes, it was very difficult, I think, to get it. But somehow a studio did become interested.
And eventually, of course, it was Disney. Now, did Disney back you up when the film came out? I mean, did they really put themselves behind it to try and sell it?
Well,
because rumour says no.
Yeah. It's a very delicate issue. We're old friends there, Joe Roth and myself, and I know many years. Even Michael Eisner, I know for a long time, since early 80s. But as we all know, there's something way above just a film studio, way above even the corporation that's going on. I think the market that China represents to the West is enormous. Not just Disney Corporation, but many, many other corporations in America and around the world. I think they're able to release a film, try their best, quote unquote, and if the film begins to falter, now whether it's my perception of faltering or their perception of faltering, or together or not, it becomes rather delicate. Yeah. I personally think that, unfortunately, they didn't push the picture.
Because of the fear of offending China?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Yeah. Because these things, and I know the men these people do not release a film to let it drop.
No,
Believe me. But if the indication is such that, well, the crowds aren't going to it, or the figures don't show this or that or whatever. Now, we all know it's a very special movie. Yeah. It's a film that doesn't take the story and present it in a traditional, I should say conventional dramaturgy. It is very different. There's it's almost anti-drama. It's non-action in a way. I was trying for something else. I was trying to tell the story of the people in almost a musical or a spiritual rhythm to the film, and immerse you in their culture. If you get immersed in their culture, you might get to know the people, you might care about them. That's all it's about.
Yeah. And also, like the country itself, it's inward-looking.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly. That's one of the things that fascinated me.
Yeah.
They're surrounded by these mountains. They couldn't go out. In many cases, didn't want to go out.
Yeah.
So they went inside.
Yeah.
You see.
Yeah. Now, is it true that Melissa Matheson used to get her husband to read the script to him over the phone? Because her husband's not a bad actor, is he?
He's very good, Harrison. Yes.
Harrison Ford, is it?
Harrison Ford is.
And that happened, did it?
Oh, he did. He did.
Amazing to pick up the phone and have Harrison Ford reciting a script.
Well, he also did it. He also did it in person.
Did he?
Oh yeah. Yeah, a number of times. And what Melissa was trying to get from the Dalai Lama were the small details, the minor, the observations of what it was like to live day by day, with in Tibet, in a farmhouse in Amdo province. You know, as you know, the beginning of the film begins with the little Dalai Lama, who's a 2-year-old boy, and having breakfast. And, you know, that was a big challenge for me, because it's been, I must say, a very long time since I've been in a farmhouse in Amdo to have breakfast in the morning, I must say.
Non-actors, all of them, weren't they? I mean, that must have made life a little harder than it might have been.
Actually, it was easier.
Was it?
Much easier.
Well, they didn't have the big star temperament to deal with.
Well, besides that, like, for example, they were on the set before me, which was good. So I'd get there, they were ready, you know.
That must make a change.
Oh, that was a big change. Well, most of my actors, thank God, over the years have been very good about that. But they were there. My casting director, Ellen Lewis, who's been helping cast my film since Goodfellas, went to India, and she went through the entire country from New Delhi to Bangalore to Mysore, and she dealt with, she got the news out to these enclaves of Tibetans that were there, and basically it narrowed down to Tibetans who could speak English.
Yeah.
That was the idea. I wanted them to speak English in the film. And ultimately, as you know, I think we wound up casting some of the relatives of the Dalai Lama without realizing it.
Yeah.
Without realizing it.
The look of the film is splendid. Roger Deakins was the cameraman, wasn't he? Marvellous cameraman.
Yes.
But were you and he influenced at all by modern Chinese films? Because it has that look about it.
Yeah, for me, as far as I'm concerned, I think the most exciting cinema today is Chinese.
Yeah.
I like Chinese cinema, mainland cinema.
Yeah.
Particularly, Hong Kong also, and Taiwanese. Taiwanese, fascinating, fascinating. It's a whole other way of looking at things, very painterly. But the Chinese, the lighting in the Chinese films, I know Roger Deakins is a fan of that.
Yeah.
And
Well, he
that's
recaptured it beautifully,
yeah,
didn't he?
yeah.
If you agree to the foot.
And the other thing, of course, was that you were accused of not being critical enough of Tibet, but I thought the Tibetans were the good guys.
I think they expected Raging Llama or something. Say, why do that? I mean, the idea is, I'm on their side. I'm sorry.
Well, you've got to take an attitude.
I'm on their side. I must say, there are
Yeah.
a couple, 1.4 people have been killed. The religion has been decimated. All that. I'm on their side. All right. Yes, there was need for reform in Tibet in terms of the modern world. Even in the film, the Dalai Lama says we were about to reform ourselves. Yes, after World War II, Tibet would have clashed with modern civilization, and there would have been some damages and that sort of thing to their society. That's true. But did it have to be this bad? You see, and does it have to be ignored? And in a way, I was interested in creating an image of the life of Tibet, rather than exposing, quote unquote, injustice in their society and that sort of thing.
Have you shown it to the Dalai Lama yet?
Not yet. We show it to him it's March now, next month.
It's going to be interesting to see what he says.
Yeah, I think so.
You must be sort of on tenterhooks.
Yes, I am, yeah. Yeah. Oh, imagine your own life up there on a screen.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this also is not really all of his life. It is basically from when he was a 2-year-old boy to the 18-year-old, through the escape into India.
Yeah.
You know.
When are you going to get an Oscar, by the way?
I don't know.
It's about time.
Did you call them at all and talk to them about this?
They've overlooked you again. This year.
Yes. I don't know. You know, some actually think they've given it to me.
I know.
I'm not kidding.
Well, maybe this is the trouble. Write to them all and tell them I haven't got one yet and I need one, or I'd like one anyway.
I think, you know, sometimes, but didn't we give him one back in the 70s sometime? He was the guy in the same, it's the same guy from the 70s, right? It's the same one, yeah.
Yes.
No, I just won't, that's it, I'll not get it. There's no way, I don't think, in terms of, and also in a funny way, it's nice to have, particularly when you're younger, because it's a great encouragement. It could also be a great danger where some people get it when they're too young.
Sure.
And they hardly work again, you know, that sort of thing, because they're too good to just take any picture, you know, because they won an Academy Award. Yeah. No, if you're interested in working, take everything you can. But no, it would have been nice. It would have been very nice years ago, but I think to a certain extent, it's probably better I didn't get it at all, because it made me forget about completely the extraneous things and just concentrate on what the next film was going to be about, you see, and how to make the film. And the trick has been, and the rewards, the awards have been getting the pictures made that I've always wanted to get made. And there's no doubt, would have liked to have got a few there in the 70s at least. But in a funny way, I've been forced to just do my work.
Well, there's still time, I trust, and meanwhile, although Kundun was overlooked, or you were overlooked this time round, I did enjoy the film very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you know, it's quite right what he said at the Oscar rehearsals. The placard reserving his seat said erroneously, Martin Scorsese, previous Oscar winner.